NES? Yes, absolutely. So, now we are just waiting to see what is going down, and it looks like we will be on our way relatively soon. That's going to be very exciting to see. Oh, and it looks like we are off onto the races.
And both runners look like they're starting in different places. Interesting to see that.
Absolutely. We're seeing two different routes, one of them being going straight through into Link's house through the Dark World. S4 or Sinhe rather, or Sinhe. Wow, I can't even speak today. Is going through what I usually do myself, which is double checking any chest that I can, usually going through Sanctuary and then routing up to Escape to make sure I am guaranteed several items and a tree pull before I have to worry about exactly what's going on. And all of a sudden, we see that due to a bit of an unfortunate moment of getting stuck between guards from a bush pull, there was another save quit, causing a little bit of a time disrupt, but still nothing too major.
Interestingly enough, I've seen more people route up through Escape from the starting house lately on this seed.
Absolutely, and admittedly, that's something I didn't think about until I started watching this tournament. One of the things about the open mode tournament is that you do not start with the sword, so you literally have no weapon, and you have to rely on any surroundings, bushes, rocks, signposts, a dog in a wheelchair, shoutouts to dogs in a wheelchair, they're adorable, to make sure that you can actually keep going.
One of the best moments is just throwing the signpost at people, and that's just, it's absolutely necessary in these open seeds.
And here we are, we see nothing but 20 rupees all over the place at the moment.
Looks like Ganon emptied his wallet out on the open field here.
And once again, we're seeing a lot of red rupee chest all over NYRambler's screen.
It looks like this is not an Agus either. As for Sinhe looks into the cave, nothing there.
Yep, no, but it looks like right now there hasn't been a whole lot going on. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of seeds where you do have a lot going on, which can also hurt as much as help, because depending on how forgiving the seed wants to be, that could be a lot of items in the beginning that are sequential to each other for progression. But
and that
right
false
now,
sense of security right at the beginning when you get a lot of items can be very painful for a runner later in the late game.
And now going through the blind... Oh, we already have the sword in the Light World Blind Hut. And
all right,
just
we have
a lot of money again.
See what Blind's got in the back room there?
And 3 bombs. Not a bad find.
Absolutely not. This will enable NYRambler to go ahead and take care of that well as well.
Indeed.
And that is exactly where he's headed.
And let's find out, now that they have the bombs, they can actually go through and, oh, S4 Sinhe going and buying a set of bombs, which is unfortunate, because if they just stuck it out a little longer, they would have found out that they had something of value hiding in the chest. And we also have a bottle and the power glove. It's so bad. Seeing in the chicken hut, we have 10 arrows. Bottle vendor has 20 rupees. Well, they're not short on money, that's for sure.
Another painful life lesson in capitalism from the bottle vendor.
Ooh, very true.
Alright, we're going into Chicken Lady's house, doing a little redecoration, and only 10 arrows on that one.
Absolutely. Kakariko not really showing a whole lot of promise. However, we still have yet to see, there is the fighter sword going on as well for Sinhe. And Bottle Kid has blue mail already. That is nice for a development.
That was very exciting, and they always say never forget Sick Kid, and this is why. Both runners cleaning up Kakariko Village quite nicely, and I think NYRambler is going to go check that library.
Yep. And what do we have in the library today?
Just a little love, but shout out to our librarians in the audience.
Absolutely. Remember, reading is important. Not only does it keep you mentally sharp, but it also gives you a lot of valuable information, and there's a heart piece. And once again, over on the side of S4 Sinhe, we have both a bottle and the glove indeed.
Map check, it looks like 2 crystals and Tower of Hera is green pendant.
Wow, Hera is green pendant. That is a development indeed.
It'll be interesting to see if these runners actually go and tackle Trolldorm up there, because he has been particularly trolly this here tournament.
Oh, Trolldorm really has been.
S4 Sinhe got a little bit of a fashion upgrade there with the blue at the sick kid, and we got a heart piece over in the dam.
I guess you could say damn, it was only a heart piece. Sorry, couldn't resist.
Tip your waiters, they'll be here all night.
Yep, try the fish.
Alright, time to see what the emptied out water in the dam brings for NYRambler.
Yep, this is a very solid strategy when you are starting out, because you want to clear as much of, oh, another small piece of heart, as much of the area as possible before diving into any dungeons, or at least at the beginning. After that, you start to have the curiosity of blending between the two, seeing what you can progress in, and how many items that brings you.
It'll be interesting to see when the 2 paths start to... Oh, we have a save quit, and...
praise the B-Torb. It is being used on the mini Moldorms, a beautiful strategy, and it is the OP B, not just the basic B.
Gotta love a good B strat, especially in these randomizers.
Absolutely.
A lot of love in the mini Moldorm cave.
Yup. And even though it had money and love, sometimes that's just not enough.
Money can't buy you love, and love can't buy you win on the randomizer, that's for sure.
I concur.
So these 2 racers are largely following the same path, with S4 Sinhe sort of following the path of NYRambler, checking out that dam, while NYRambler looks like he's headed up for the Ice Rod Cave.
Indeed, it is a effective strategy to use if you want to see what is up there, to just clear the possibility. There have been people that have... Oh, sorry, small distraction. There have been people that have skipped over Ice Rod Cave, and that has been detrimental, or helped them in the progress, depending on what is over there. However, as we see, 10 arrows for an... was that a 10 arrow upgrade, or just 10 arrows? I couldn't see the color pattern.
It looked like an upgrade to me, but regardless, it looks like Ice Cave was not quite as hype as we had all hoped it to be.
Right you are, unfortunately. And now Rambler is going right over on to Srirachala's hut. Praise be to Sriracha, the favorite hot sauce of, well, me.
I think Sriracha is it should be the hot sauce sponsor of this entire tournament.
While that would be nice, that means that we'd have to be making money.
It'd be interesting to see if we get any bump in sales with Sriracha after this tournament is over.
That would be pretty fantastic. Although I should also just go onto Google and figure out how to properly pronounce his name. Although sometimes it's a little more fun to go along with the meme of nobody knowing his name.
And now the variations are always great.
Oh, this is actually a very interesting diversion. We are seeing Rambler going up through the escape route while Sinhe goes through the opposite side.
Interesting approach for both of them. They're both going for that escape clear to see what they have going and see what Uncle has to give to them as well, at least NYRambler.
And we have the lamp, a burrito, and a +5 arrow upgrade. That is a nice development. And you let your uncle go and bleed out while you take your lunch money from him.
You hate to see that sort of disrespect at the family level.
Absolutely. And there we have yet another 20 rupees. And now we have Sinhe going up towards what looks like Sarashala's hut indeed.
Wonder if he'll dip into Eastern Palace. We'll guess time will tell.
Very true.
All right, let's see what the old Sriracha condiment is hiding in his back room. The hook shot.
Very nice. And a save and quit, not taking the gamble of Eastern Palace. I apologize for a little bit of stuttering and stammering. We're just making sure to have a tracker show up and get everything going, and fortunately it seems like everything should be now taken care of. Shoutouts to our friend Flaffy, who decided to make sure to take on the tracking responsibilities for us.
Thanks for the tracking, Flaffy.
Absolutely. Very much appreciated indeed. And now
all right, S4 Sinhe's going up to Old Man Cave.
A very wise strategy to take care of, and a good gamble. However, I also know that there have been times where Eastern Palace has been a fruitful guess. However, I guess in this case, we'll have to find out. Now we see Rambler going through the other chests, and right now it seems they are just getting a ton of money, although only in small increments at a time.
You sort of wonder if the seed's starting to push them towards Zora to see if he's going to give them a life lesson or something good.
That would be a good question. Also, alternatively, maybe finding a lamp in the escape sequence was part of the routing logic, because who knows, there might be something in that one last chest, because we have already seen the map in the escape sequence, if I have counted correctly. I do believe it was lamp, map, and then 20 rupees. Oh, and there are 3 bombs in that chest. Let's find out eventually if there's going to be anything in there. Hopefully, for the sake of these runners, I believe it should be avoided. However,
looks like NYRambler is going, oh, we got a sword upgrade for S4 Sinhe on Spectacle Rock.
That is a nice Spectacle Rock find. Now, as soon as they find the mirror, we'll know that they have at least the bare minimum sword requirement for Ganon.
And NYRambler looks like he's going to the drop-down escape at this point.
As we know, that is a very wise strategy. We'll see if they actually take the chance of going into the other chest. As we know, that is a potentially wise decision. Without having a mirror to back out of, oh, it was an arrow upgrade, not 20 rupees. As we know...
Well, NYRambler looks like he's got the lantern now, so that'll be good for him.
Yep. And I believe at this point, Rambler has picked up what feels like at least half of the remaining 20 rupee chests. Now, it's probably not half at this point, but he has picked up a considerable amount in Hyrule Castle. A 10 upgrade, as well as, did you see what? Oh, it was the boots! What are those?
Whoa, boots hype, boots hype. You know, boots can be a real game changer for a run because it really kind of speeds up a lot of your on-tracks, if you will.
Oh, I, in the meantime, missed exactly what I was hoping to find over in the chest in Hyrule. It does not look like it paid off, however.
While on the right side, we have S4 Sinhe getting the book and the shovel, so a little bit of reading and digging on that docket.
Looks like they're going to have to go and take a look in a book about how to shovel effectively. Are we going to have the best of fetch quests? Are we going to have the worst of fetch quests? Feel free to take a guess in chat.
And a great literary reference there. I got that one.
Thank you. Reading is important after all. And now Rambler's going to find themselves the hookshot, which is going to be a very important thing to find at this point.
And
there we are. A bottle again.
Back home. Check and make sure, turn the stove off, and heading down to wonder if they're going to desert.
That would be a wise strategy to avoid, say, going into an Eastern Palace dungeon, which, as we are finding out, may not have been a bad decision to avoid. Typically, you can go in there and find out that, oh, skipping Agana's cave at least temporarily to find out what's on the ledge bypassing Agena completely, most likely to visit them on the way out. And here we have someone reading a book very importantly.
And on the ledge, if anyone missed it, I believe it was 50 rupees, so that'll be a good skip, or perhaps even if you want to pick up that 50 rupees for a Zora life lesson.
That would be a valuable life lesson, however, that would also be quite an extra bit of time wasted on picking up simply 5 rupees, when you could use the same amount of time farming what you need, probably in this dungeon.
Good thing is now this dungeon is not boots locked for at least S4 Sinhe. We'll see in time NYRambler pick up those boots.
Indeed. As we're seeing, the old man is going to also give out the little, well, not the considerable amount of love to Link. Shoutouts to that one awkward moment that became a mini inside joke in the last tournament about the old man and a heart piece. Or sorry, heart container.
That was a good joke, and I spoke with the origin creator of that joke, and he is just loving it.
Oh, I bet. I remember watching that on YouTube. Shoutouts to our YouTube audience. And just dying the entire time. It was, the dead rock getting caught in the middle, and we see the burrito is in the normal big key chest.
And for those who may have missed it, this is a boots-locked a dungeon if NYRambler does not pick those boots up, but he is well on his way to do so.
Very fortunate indeed.
And there's the new footwear for NYRambler, looking quite stylish.
What are those? Now we're going to see what's in the big key chest, and it turns out to be Bombos.
Ooh, Bombos.
Since we don't know what is required on the Dark World, we don't know if either Turtle Rock or Misery Mire are going to require Bombos if they need to be entered at all. Also, forgot to mention it, we've already had in chat hopes for possible pedestal seed. Let's find out eventually, because they do have the book. The next time they go into the Lost Woods, they could possibly find out that yes, it is time to check the pedestal. Oh, not remembering that they had the lamp, or accidentally falling off of the ledge, means that they have to spend a little more time in the cutscene.
Well, NYRambler looked like he attempted a bomb jump on that, and those bomb jumps can be tricky for runners, and I know that myself. I've been practicing them, and they're not easy.
No, they do take a little bit of finesse. However, fortunately, with enough practice, you will be able to have them second knowledge. Or second... You know what I mean.
I follow.
Yeah, instinctive. There we go. That's the better way.
Words are complicated, I will say that much. Just much like a randomizer. Complicated and require a lot of mental...
Silver arrows on the floating island. Sorry to cut you off, but that is a very big find.
That is crucial, because I've seen quite a few runs going to Ganon silverless, and let me tell you, without a heaping dose of skill, that is very difficult.
That is... a silverless Ganon fight, while a bit frustrating, again, requires much patience and practice, and when you have both of those, you then realize going into it, you have a very fearless moment. However, of course, if you do it with a Master Sword, that is your ultimate test in patience. Shoutouts to Dark Firebird and his first attempt at silverless Ganon with the Master Sword.
It was a very impressive run at it, I will say, and just to the chat, the floating island held the silver arrows.
Indeed, which is a very interesting development. And here we see S4 Sinhe going into what's going to be the Landmolus fight, almost vanilla at this point.
That's been a rather uneventful progression into that desert palace, and we'll see how S4 Sinhe does on Landmolus.
Indeed. And we're seeing the Spectacle Rock check to come up with basically nothing until you have the mirror, which will be most definitely a nice change of pace. And we are seeing B-strats on the Landmolus fight. This is what you come to see the tournaments for. This is why Secondary is sometimes the most fantastic example of just non-pro strats, or at least non-top tier strats, or well, no, that sounds rude, because that's not what I'm getting at here. The
Alternative
secondary
strats.
is that. Thank you, because it's definitely not a bad strat, and we all know it's for show, so it's not like it's considered bad. I just can't put words to my mouth today, apparently. Oof, gonna need to take a second cup of coffee.
Let me tell you, I think any runner becomes the darling of a tournament when they use B strats.
Oh, absolutely. B strats are best strats, and once again, shoutouts to B-Torp.
And someone in the chat mentioned that they're not quite sure that the B actually did any damage, but let me tell you, the B's Flurry and Flourish have made all this worth it as S4 Sinhe finishes off Land Molus.
Ah, I finally realized what I was trying to get to say, swag strats. Shoutouts to our restreamer Clifford, TBRD, making sure to throw down not only excellent restreaming and very timely restreaming, but also making sure to help me clarify what the heck I'm trying to say.
Clifford's double duty. We got a translator and a restreamer, so thank you to Clifford again.
Oh, translator too. Yo, hats off to you.
All right, S4 Sinhe's checking Aga's cave, while NYRambler looks like... whereabouts is NYRambler? Let's see.
It looks like they didn't pick up anything of much importance aside from, it looks like 300 rupees? If I got the comparison in rupee counts correct. No, it was 20
a little bit
rupees.
of a high five there. Oh, and a 20 rupee. Well, Aga's got a little bit of a fortune back there.
I'm starting to wonder, has anyone actually noticed whether or not we've seen more than 10 red rupee counts in chests in item locations? Because I'm starting to see that it's almost like everything else is in dungeons, which makes you wonder if Eastern Palace or even the Bonk Rock, as we're about to see with Sinhe, really was the right gamble. At least in the beginning. Nope, 3 bombs. Once again, showing that I am totally not right.
No, the overworld, you're absolutely right that it is really just possessing of a lot of those rupees and upgrades and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see if those dungeons really hold the keys to the winning here.
Absolutely. This is going to be very interesting because, as we know, version 26 has been very trolly. Ooh, Sinhe going into what seems to be the rest of Escape? Or perhaps going to... Oh, is this going to be... Oh, wait, no, they haven't completed the rest of Escape, have they? So it is... Okay, phew. I was going to say it's a little too early to call Aga 1, although I don't recall... Oh, wait, no, there was a heart piece under the Lumberjack Cave, wasn't it? So we know that that is not necessarily a requirement for progression.
Right, and to get into Aga 1 at this point would be, I believe, impossible without the cape and without the Master Sword.
Very true as well. And now we see we're going and tracing back over some steps with each other. It seems like even though they had the diversion, they are still rather parallel to each other. Possible Dark Escape chest, as we saw with the Dark Escape chest, there wasn't too much of value. If so, or if there was, rather, then we have an item on each side of each tracker to update. We will let you know, because I'm not sure if that was something that I had missed that was important, or if it was indeed another 20 rupees, which seems to be a very common thing happening in this race.
I don't believe that Escape, the basement, Hyrule basement, held anything of importance, but I guess we'll see on the replay here on S4 Sinhe's play for that chest.
Very excellent use of the 8 slash strats with the fighter sword, making sure to have them aligned right at the door so you minimize the amount of time you have to walk back and forth, grabbing the master key, having to pause, and then going into the dungeon's last chest. Oh, we are seeing the swag strat of the shovel and the hammer! The hammer was in the dirt. It looks like it's time to have some dirty deeds done quick.
And I believe at this point now, NYRambler has access to the Dark World if he chooses, and he's doing a save and quit, so we'll see what he ends up doing.
considering... Wait a second. Nope, never mind. The shovel was not in the dark chest because we have that picked up as it is on both channels, or both trackers. But this opens up a whole new level of possibilities, and in the event that they have to go into the dark world, they now know Aghanim 1 is not necessarily required, because this basically gives you plenty of dark room access.
And I was thinking that S4 Sinhe was going to make a play for the dark world, but perhaps going up to Ice Rod Cave or Fake Flippering. I'm not quite sure yet.
It is debatable either way, because both without the knowledge is a logical decision. Also, having the boots does cut down the amount of time you take to trek on to either, well, to at least Ice Rod Cave.
Looks like Rambler is taking on Eastern Palace, and S4 Sinhe did not go to the Ice Rod Cave, so that is what they are doing right now.
Indeed, once again showing that despite the routes being different, they are still very parallel to each other. And in the first chest in Dark Palace, we have the burrito. I hope you all had lunch already, because it's going to be one of those streams where there's a lot of food references.
A well-fed Link is a well-battled Link.
That is very true. We're going to now find out what's in the normal, I believe that is the normal compass chest, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, we have the Fisher-Price My First Shield.
Excellent.
Always a nice progression item to have.
And the chat is right. We have not seen the Moon Pearl yet, so this is going to be interesting to see where the Moon Pearl actually shows up as S4 Sinhe's fake flipping over to Hobo. Could it be that Hobo is holding on to the Moon Pearl?
Now, I have been wrong in the past. However, it is entirely possible that because that is a skip in logic, we may see the Moon Pearl here in Eastern Palace. However, if I'm wrong, well, we sure know I was wrong. And survey says a heart piece over in Eastern Palace and 300 rupees from the Hobo. Once again, the troll toll has been paid.
You would think with that amount of money, the Hobo could stop living underneath the bridge, but, you know, perhaps he prefers the quaint nature of running water.
You never know. It could be like the state of Massachusetts, where a bedroom, or a one-bedroom house will cost you about $9 billion and your firstborn child. Anyways, over into the dark world, the dark room in Eastern Palace, we see a quick and lantern-used, well, route, I guess. Normally,
I guess Sinhe is going up on the eastern side of Death Mountain, perhaps making a play for Tower of Hera.
Ooh, that is an interesting play. As we know, that is entirely possible at this point. However, will it pay off is the question. Because as we know, there are only 2, if I'm correct, maybe 3 items in Tower of Hera. Missing the worm blob, the tentacle blob skip against the anti-fairies leads to the big key, nonetheless. And we're about to see...
Sinhe saw those silvers on Floating Island again as they enter Tower of Hera, and NYRambler is getting the big chest with the compass.
Oh, which means Armos Knights may be holding onto an item.
So we'll be holding off on a full clear.
Which is also unfortunate, because that means that he is currently bow-locked out of that dungeon. With nothing else left to go, it is time to go to Tower of Hera. To find Dude, it is the flute.
Everyone stand for the Swag Dunk anthem coming up soon.
Absolutely. Although it looks like we might have to fight Trolldorm, the Trollening. For a second, I thought we were going to see some sort of secret hammer secret shovel strat. But no, in this case, it was just a misclick on the menu. Something that is very common. And I can say that from experience. Anyways, going and clearing through the Tower of Hera rather quickly. Going and using a very popularized method to clear the 3rd floor. Where you just use the capability of going onto the bottom ledge, and there is another sword up there. That as soon as they have a mirror, they could get a tempered sword. Yes. This is going to be very interesting, and Bunny Link be gone. The Moon Pearl is at Ether Tablet, which means
that is quite a find. They got to get that sword upgraded and
Sinhe
back
is
to the
going
tablet.
to immediately be delighted to see that happen. What a wonderful update this has been, showing that yet again a pendant dungeon, which I accidentally mistook previously for Palace or Eastern Palace, does have a required item or two in this case, because we don't know if flute is exactly required yet, is going to be just randomly happen to be strewn about. And now we have Trolldorm in some of the least convenient areas of its little octagonal pattern. And Trolldorm strikes again. Fortunately, it wasn't through the middle.
Trolldorm has been certainly racking up victims throughout this entire tournament, and it's always heartbreaking to see the fall, but at least it is not through the center, which you made absolutely right.
Whoa! Once again, trying to dash down and hitting the head, or even falling down and hitting the head. Oh, Trolldorm, how dare you! We are now at Trolldorm 2, the hamburger snake strikes back, and as we see, even trying to get in there, Trolldorm is going not in my house. Unfortunately, for them, 3. Wow. 3 slashes, or not that, wow, slashes? Hello. 3 sword charges, and suddenly, Trolldorm is no more to grab the Eastern Pendant. Now we get to see the one question, are they going into the basement to see if there's anything else? Now, if I did my counting correct, there is no other items left.
I believe your calculations are correct, and it looks like NYRambler got that sword upgrade, and
Sinhe is immediately going to find out that they can now enter the Dark World, and things are going to get very interesting very quick. Alright, confirmation in chat that other people do believe that the burrito has to be inside the basement. I'm sorry, the idea of a burrito basement does not sound exactly appetizing. I do not blame the runners for avoiding it.
If it was refrigerated properly, I think we'd be in good shape, but it is not, I'm sure.
Indeed. I don't think a hamburger snake knows how to take care of a refrigerator. Oh, and Trolldorm strikes again!
Another notch for Trolldorm on that one as NYRambler races back up the stairs to take care of the vengeance battle.
As another commentator once said, I believe the winner of this tournament, no matter who wins, is indeed Trolldorm. Because, it is getting mighty messy over here. Oh, and now we are going in a dangerous territory when you head over to the left of the octagon, because you have more of a chance to fall, as well as a bigger chance to fall into the middle, which, as we know, drops you from the 5th floor to the 3rd floor, or the 6th to the 3rd, or 4th? Either way, it brings you down 2 floors. There is a key, and behold, the green pendant once again.
Meanwhile, S4 Sinhe checked that spiral cave, I believe was only 20 rupees, so now they're making a play. It looks like they're going to go ahead and activate their Swag Duck flute.
Feel free to stand and salute for the Swag Duck anthem. Also, I have to comment, that is a very nice concept of routing for Spiral Cave, considering they were already up there and had the hammer.
Rambler's going for that tablet to get the Moon Pearl.
Heck yes, and we are going to be seeing some Dark World tactics as soon as the second Swag Duck has been brought to everyone's attention. Swag Duck already carrying out its mission as Sinhe immediately goes over to Eastern Palace. Eastern Palace, of course, as we know, is currently bow-locked for both racers. Oh, I am standing corrected. They are going to Sriracha, hoping that the green pendant indeed throws down something of value, since we've already seen a lot in this seed where that's happened. Oh, it's only 3 bombs. A quick sword slash to tell the old man that his values are incorrect. And now we see Sinhe looks like attempting Eastern Palace, doing a quick hook shot stair dash strat.
And NYRambler is going back to check that Aga Cave, and also the tree pull got him a few rupees to go on his journey with.
Indeed he did. Now it's only a question of where they're going to go next. Obviously, I'm going to believe that Swag Duck is going to be revived from its statue form. But after that, where will Rambler go?
You wonder if Rambler is going to make a play for the Dark World through Kakariko Village or head down and do something else.
At this point, going through the Dark World into the... I almost called it the Island of Misfit Toys. Into the Outcast Village would be a very interesting and probably logical play to make. Not only will you have a dungeon near you if you need to go into Thieves' Town for a crystal, however, besides that, you still have at least 3, if not 5 items, and since they have enough money, it will be closer off to 5 items that they can grab. They have the chess game, they have the shovel game, they have Abominable Hut, they have the C-shaped house, and, 4 at the moment, because they don't have golden gloves. Because otherwise it would be 6, because you would have Hammer Peg Cave, and of course, bring out Senior
Friend going on here for NYRambler.
That is a great update. Oh, it's just Couch Cash. Rip Pedestal Height. We knew you well.
Pedestal, RIP, dream is over.
Ooh, the bully going and making sure to bully Rambler for a quick moment. Although Rambler taking the time to check Pedestal before going into the Dark World, a very wise decision without the mirror. Making sure to have that level of intel before adventuring forth. Of course, you never want Pedestal Hype to loom over your head while you're racing. And we have a map check, 5 in Swamp Palace, 6 in Pod. We have Misery Mire as the red pendant, and I missed the blue pendant. Did you see it anywhere?
That was Thieves' Town, I believe, was the blue pendant.
Ah, I see.
So Rambler's about to clear out Dark World Thieves' Town here with starting with the chess game, and then I'm sure moving his way through the town.
We have the single arrow hype, indeed the one single arrow used to fight Ganon and finally nail him in the head with the silver arrow.
And the run is validated at this point with that single arrow.
It's never not validated. Or it's never validated, rather, unless you get the validation chest. However, we do know that the single arrow is absolutely crucial. And we have a heart container over in the Abominable Hut.
I think S4 Sinhe's going for Dark World, perhaps going for Hype Cave.
Hype Cave would be a good option. However, in the version 26 logic, we know Hype Cave is usually more just Disappointment Cave. The bow is in the C-shaped house.
Excellent.
Oh my goodness. This means Palace of Darkness and Eastern Palace are now no longer bow-locked. We have 2 clearable dungeons in our midst. Speaking of mitts, it would be fantastic if both of them could grab the Titan's mitt soon. Let's see where it could be. Rambler going and checking the digging game. The Flipper's already in the Hype Cave with the generous guy. We have 20 rupees, 10 arrows, 5 arrow upgrade, and okay, so the only thing they had was the Flippers.
And Alec Baldwin had a red shield over there on the digging game, so I suppose that was a bit fruitful for NYRambler.
It's a plus for Rambler at the very least, because at least now they no longer have the Fisher-Price My First Shield.
You wonder if Rambler is going for Stump Kid now, and it looks like he is absolutely going for Stump Kid. See what Stump Kid's got.
Stump Kid is indeed afraid to leave his stump. But with a little bit of love, we can now confirm that it's stuck there.
And nice Hey Arnold reference there. Really enjoyed that one.
Thank you. I always try to throw that out there every now and then.
And S4 Sinhe also going to Stump Kid, showing a double love for him.
Once again, despite the diversions, here we have a almost complete parallel. Oh, someone in chat even pointing out something very, very interesting. Despite it technically being confirmation bias, we have seen a lot of examples, even recently with version 26, where Skull Woods usually was the big play to go and check. There have been many races where people have checked Skullwoods and found out that there were required items in there, and I have seen races, several of them in this tournament indeed, that have actually been costed by avoiding Skullwoods.
And Rambler's got his flipper gear to go swimming, and S4 Sinhe is going back home again to check to make sure that they turn the oven off.
A good call. And now we have, it appears Rambler is going up to most likely check the pyramid. Yep, it seems like we're going to Pyramid and or possibly Catfish. Alright, Pyramid first, maybe Catfish. It's a little out of the way compared to Pod. However, it is still entirely possible. Since they've also not had to worry about clearing Aga 1, they could also save and quit and still return to the Light World, which also means they could have an easier way to flute over there, which would technically cost them a little less time than just dashing over. And 50 rupees on the Pyramid. The price is indeed wrong for Aga 1 this seed.
And S4 Sinhe is checking to see if there's any life lessons from King Zora, and only 20 rupees again on the ledge there in Zora's domain. Looks like NYRambler is going for Pod, while we're about to see what life lessons, if any, Zora is going to give to S4 Sinhe.
Are we going to see something valuable? And oh, it is something valuable indeed. The single arrow.
Ooh, Sinhe is not happy slashing that arrow.
That is the second single arrow we have seen today, and that better be the golden arrow, because if that is not anything more than one arrow, $500. Talk about a terrible pyramid scheme gone wrong.
Zora, always teaching some hard lessons to our runners throughout this tournament, but sometimes coming through with something pretty impressive.
Indeed. Sinhe releasing the bees like a Wicker Man movie inside or outside of the church just to make sure that they have enough to grab a safety potion, a very valuable strategy at this point. With this amount of health going into Dark World, you never know exactly what is going to cause you more of a headache. The risk of getting to take damage or the risk of finding a ton of heart containers and or heart pieces.
Looks like Sinhe's making a play to go check that pedestal, perhaps over there in the Lost Woods.
A very solid decision in routing. We also see Rambler going up, finding a key in Palace of Darkness, and heading over to start doing a clear of the Palace of Darkness, wondering now if they are going to be finding, oh, the big key right off the bat. That is a very convenient development.
Good find.
However, this also means they only have... indeed. This also means they only have 3 chests they can check at the moment. However, with a solid routing decision, they are grabbing one here, likely going into the right side where the bow is located through the teleport. Yep, and here we are. A very solid routing decision by NYRambler.
Absolutely routing that dungeon very nicely. That's where Sinhe exits the Lost Woods. Looks like we are going to see an entry into the Dark World here.
And now we'll see if they too have the idea of going anywhere else, such as the Village of Outcast, or if they are going right into, nope, no Skullwoods play at this moment. They might be holding off until they have something else, like the Fire Rod, to make sure to check everything else, just in the case that, say, the big key is over in the chest before Mothula.
Got the chest game for S4 Sinhe. Hopefully not going to be too disappointed at the rupee find.
Indeed. A rupee and single arrow, making sure that that was nice and hype for Sinhe. Rambler getting a couple more keys, and using the hammer strat to move downward. Here we have Sinhe going in. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No problem. And the chat is particularly wondering why no Skull Woods play yet, and I do indeed have that same question, but I suppose when a dungeon opens, you kind of want to get those out of the way as soon as possible.
It does seem like people have a common balance between wanting to go between dungeons and the overworld. However, I do happen to agree, Skull Woods is very much in this logic a good risk to take.
Like Rambler is going to pick up those keys over there on the east side, and then most likely track back in to see what's in the big chest, depending on what they have already.
Half magic being found in Palace of Darkness is a nice, very nice, in fact, thing to find.
And Sinhe's taking a crack at Thieves Town here to see what they can find in the dungeon, and we started with 300 rupees, so Blind's Dungeon's got some money in there.
Blind may be loaded. At this point, when you have the bow, Thieves Town does not seem as much of an option. However, if anyone has seen a lot of these tournaments, They know that pendant dungeons may still have items, especially in version 26. So, seeing this as a 4-chest opening scenario where you're going, oh no, an NYRambler
Ooh,
goes
that's
down, press F to pay respects. And here we see
Well,
the...
like Sinhe did a saving quit out of Thieves Town. See what happens next there.
Back to the light world we go.
Checking that oven again at home, and then looks like we might be, let's see, heading back into the dark world.
It does seem like a logical step because of all the other places being either locked or previously locked because now they have the bow, or perhaps it's a routing decision because, as we know, Eastern Palace will be much quicker, especially since half of it has already been taken care of.
Looks like S4 Sinhe might be doing just that, and oh, nope, in the dark world. Apparently my brain is in the light world while they're in the dark world.
No worries, it seems to be one of those days during this weekend. And here it
looks like we're going to hookshot over.
Sinhe is hookshotting. No, Sinhe is going over to Catfish. This may prove to be a fruitful option. We never know if Catfish... NYRambler almost missing that tile and falling off of the bridge. And now going back into the maze, again with 3.5 hearts. Hopefully they will not get bodied by these flames anymore. Because, let's face it... Oh, in the mirror, what a find. What a find, especially for this dungeon.
That was a good risk, and it paid off, despite the fact taking the death, going back in, persevering, and getting that mirror. I'm pretty sure NYRambler is very happy right now.
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes you gotta love when perseverance like that pays off. And a momentary missed bomb before the bomb that connects against the broken wall.
Got a little frustration pulled there from NYRambler.
And 20 rupees. Not necessarily the thing you want to find in a big chest, especially after going through all of that trouble. However, if I did count that correctly, that does mean there's only one option left, and I believe that is a dungeon item.
Ooh, and Catfish looks to have given S4 Sinhe, I missed that, the mirror shield or the riot shield, and so we got some hype going on in the chat.
We have some shield hype for the mirror. It seems like we now have a little bit of a better reflection.
On par dad joke right there.
Interestingly enough, Rambler, almost realizing that they did clear the rest of the top side of Palace of Darkness.
And now headed up, perhaps making a play for the boss, and we shall see.
If they do indeed, which they do seem to be doing, King Helmosaur, then this is going to be a very nice and easy play for getting one of the first crystals in the Dark World. In fact, I do believe this would be the first crystal for Rambler, and it would be the second for S4 Sinhe. And now we have one of the longer cutscenes in the game, where you're basically just waiting for the screen to stop shifting a couple pixels up and to the right, and the wall to move over. Meanwhile, Kiki the monkey says 10 rupees, please. Also, if you get hit, you're gonna have to give me another 10 rupees. Just kidding, give me 100 rupees instead.
Those monkeys, they have opposable thumbs, and they have smart business acumen, that's for sure.
They do, and they sure know how to open the door to Harambe's palace, aka the Palace of Darkness. Sorry, couldn't stop myself from making the joke at least once for my lifetime. Now I'm done, and it doesn't have to be repeated ever again.
Too soon for Harambe? Too soon? I'm not sure.
No, just far too late.
Limitations?
Far too late. Like the gorilla, the joke is dead.
Oh.
We have a very nice, quick turtle clear. And we have Sinhe going in and going through the rest of the start of the dungeon, getting their key and starting to clear through.
Looks like NYRambler is headed for the boss, and S4 Sinhe makes its way through the dungeon.
And now we have the King Helmosaur fight, and that's going to be very convenient, especially with sword strats being out so you don't have to keep turning yourself around. And just like that, we are almost right through to the main damaging area of King Helmasaur. However, doing it with only regular arrows means you're going to have to shoot approximately 6 to 8. I can't remember the exact number. By this time, I usually have silver arrows, and I can take care of it, or I have the butter sword.
Oh, and Helmasaur goes down.
Helmasaur is down.
But not in an earlier round.
I totally miscounted because it was apparently lunchtime for King Helmasaur.
What is it with these bosses and holding on to the burritos?
By all means, sometimes they just really, really need to have lunch. Bosses need to eat too.
Hashtag bosses need to eat too, up in the chat. Looks like NYRambler is going to make a play for Eastern Palace now.
Eastern Palace, again, the quicker of the two dungeons, especially after having it mostly cleared, is the logical way to go through that routing. Because this way they have 2 dungeons cleared, and then, if they so chose, they could flute anywhere else they want that has a place to go in the Dark World. Currently, within the logic here, they do have bombos. It is entirely possible, with the hammer and flippers, they would also have to jump into Ice Palace, despite the fact that that would still be rather frustrating.
You wonder if it's in the back of their mind right now that play into the Ice Palace, but we shall see.
Indeed. Oh, unfortunately, Rambler not picking up the RNG manipulation pattern and getting, instead of 2, but all 4 Selfos. Those Skelebros are obnoxious, but at least the red Skelebros are worse.
You know, they never learn not to throw things in the house, those red Skelebros, that is for sure.
Indeed. Talk about a mess. Not picking up the extra arrows to farm. Rambler goes in and starts to go in. I can't remember the name of Igor's. And... okay, sorry, got ahead of myself. Decided to go in and shoot the Igor's despite not picking up the extra arrows to get the key and continue onward. Going in and just swoosing right over onto the actual button, and then going again to the actual button despite the rolling marble or the flying marbles of doom.
Yes, and Chad is right. You actually cannot do Ice Palace without the Titan's Mitts. We had overlooked that.
You're right. I did entirely overlook that because I keep thinking they have the Titan's Mitts for some reason. You get one glove upgrade, you suddenly think you get them all.
All right, Rambler making quick work of those red Igors and moving on into the Armos boss here.
And while slightly less conventional, this
difficult.
is a relatively quicker kill.
Without those silver arrows, Armos is sometimes a little bit more of a time commitment, but it looks like NYRambler is making pretty quick work of the boss.
Absolutely. And the 3rd sword upgrade. Showing that...
oh.
Wow. Wait a second. They got 1 sword upgrade. Did they get the one on Spectacle Rock? Am I missing something here? Because if that's not the case, then they have easy access Butter Sword.
Yeah, I don't think they went for that Spectacle Rock sword upgrade, if I remember correctly.
Also, praise the Tempered Sword. Remember, kids, carrot swords are important. Eat your vegetables. And if you don't want to eat your vegetables, force feed your vegetables into your enemy's face.
They suppose with the Butter Sword, you're killing them with cholesterol.
That's the power of Pauladine. Oh no!
Oh, that death.
Sinhe taking a death despite having the mirror.
And we got NYRambler fluting away and going up to, let's see, thinking about it, going up to Death Mountain.
Making a good debate as to where to go next, deciding not to go and get the power of Pauladine, but instead going into what seems to be... Sora? Catfish? No, I can't do Catfish from this area. There's no Dark World portal. So at this point, maybe they're going to the waterfall because there was nothing on the ledge.
I thought both of them hit that waterfall in Zora, but it looks like Rambler is doing that now, while S4 Sinhe is pushing the statue into place to continue on in pod.
As mentioned in chat, it is entirely possible that they are planning to get the butter and silver arrows on their way to Turtle Rock. This may be a very logical decision in routing that has been taken. Considering the major difference between a tempered sword and a butter sword for most of the bosses, that is not a bad plan.
No, not at all. Very logical routing decision there, as NYRambler is making his way speedily to King Zora to only learn a very painful life lesson coming up.
You mean a valuable lesson in archery?
A valuable lesson in archery, indeed.
They assumed you were going to either play William Tell or Robin Hood and just need one shot. Or perhaps, if you like Chinese history, Lu Bu. Now we're seeing a very quick turtle clear despite a little bit of a problem, but not too much of one.
It looks like S4 Sinhe's making a run for King Helmasaur, as NYRambler is heading back toward, looks like Kakariko Village.
Seems like they're going straight into the Dark World. Meanwhile, Helmasaur is going to be taking a beating. You can only wonder where they're going to be going next, because realistically, right now, they wouldn't be able to go, as mentioned in chat, and I mistakenly assumed, they can't go into Ice Palace. They could technically, well, one of them already did go into Desert Palace. They didn't find too much of progression there, however. They could also dive into, say, Thieves Town. They have everything for Swamp Palace, come to think of it. Because now they have the mirror, they have the boots, they have the hammer, and they have the hookshot.
Looks like Rambler might actually be making his way into the dungeon here.
An interesting play to go for Skull Woods now when you have a clear idea of where to go next through your item locations. Or through your currently acquired items, I should say. Picking up the big key in the chest that causes a bunch of holes in the floor first. Hashtag Kings need to eat too.
Oh, good
well
decision.
Played.
Good decision for Rambler with those Titan mitts.
Oh, wow. I didn't even see that. That is fantastic. Once again, Swamp Palace proving confirmation bias to be accurate by showing that it has a very valuable item hidden inside.
More like Swag Palace these days.
Yeah, tell me about it. More like Swag Woods at this point. Version 26, where one of my least preferred dungeons has most of the items I require. Actually, I take that back. Misery Mire and Turtle Rock. Anyhow, now we see Rambler going through to find the second item. Going and tempting... Yep, they are going for the bomb jump. Let's see what happens when they open the big chest. And survey says it's a key. Unfortunately, that is not the item they were indeed looking for, meaning they are going to keep going forward despite having no fire rod to progress to the very last of the two potential items.
And then we have S4 Sinhe making a final push here for the Armos Knife.
Fortunately, at this point, the Armos Knights are going to be very easy to take care of. Especially since not only do they have more than enough arrows, especially with the upgrades, but they also may have the ability to pull off the quick kill. Fortunately, even if it's not a quick kill, we do know Armos Knights are relatively fast to defeat. And here we have it. S4 Sinhe pulling off the quick kill of the Armos Knights, getting the Carrot Sword. Remember, kids, vegetables are important. And the crystal. Meanwhile, it appears that Rambler found the second item and pieced immediately out until they have the fire rod.
That was a pretty masterful fight there from S4 Sinhe with those regular arrows, which can, again, add a little bit of time to that fight.
Absolutely. And even mentioned in chat, it is lucky for Sinhe that mitts haven't been required in this seed yet, otherwise this would have been one heck of a challenge to find them, until they all remembered, hey, let's check Skull Woods.
So we got Rambler checking out Misery Mire area, and it looks like S4 Sinhe might be going into Swamp Palace.
As we know, Swamp Palace is indeed the next logical play. However, we are finding, bombs and 20 rupees in the Misery Mire shed, showing that the Mire did not have much in the garage. Are we going to find out what's required at Misery Mire today? No, because it's a pendant dungeon, apparently. Meanwhile, over in the Checkerboard Cave,
hope for something good for Rambler here in Checkerboard Cave, and we only have have
that's
red.
That's gotta be Kane. By God.
I've been waiting for that all chat. I've been waiting for that all stream.
Ugh, I can't do it nearly as well as Phantom Ryu. Shout out to Phantom Ryu. See you soon, friend. But sometimes you gotta love seeing that.
That's a key find for NYRambler, and it looks like he is indeed dipping into Swamp Palace.
That is a very solid find, and good routing for Rambler to go into Land Mollusk now. Assuming they decide to wait to be able to do a full sweep of the Dark World side, as well as the one item in Checkerboard Cave, which now we can show has paid off, before taking care of Land Mollusk. In Swamp Palace so far, we also just have a Piece of Heart.
This has been very exciting so far. These runners are definitely very, very close, and I'm really looking forward to this race continuing on here.
Absolutely. We can see that both of these players are relatively evenly matched. And here we have, just at the moment, any divergence and any progression, just a difference in it being just the right kind of different plays being made in the logic of routing.
All right, Rambler is going for that final push before Land Mollusk, and S4 Sinhe is flooding Swamp Palace.
The floodgates have been opened at least once. Now, let's see what's going to be happening when they go for the other chests. Since they are not in go mode, we are going to see the option of, well, not so much an option now, but the entire possibility that we will be seeing all the chests open for a full clear, which means there will be 6 items to be found.
And the Land Mollusk fight probably considerably easier with the Carrot Sword for NYRambler, and taking down Land Mollusk to reveal the compass, so he will now know his way around.
Speaking of dungeon items, the map was just found over in Swamp Palace. And who knew caterpillars didn't like carrots? Anyhow, we're seeing a very relatively new strat, however still a valuable one nonetheless, of taking care of swiping the crystal statue before going down to pick up the key. Fortunately, when it comes to this, many people have either made the mistake or remembered just in time to not open the floodgate before going down and picking up the key, because if you did, you would have to turn around, get out of the palace, leave it for a screen or two, come back, do the entire route over again, and then remember again not to pick up the key. Or to not flood the key, rather. Picking up the key is the important part.
Getting soft locked out of the dungeons is heartbreaking, and it looks like NYRambler actually might be making a play for that butter sword, going from healthy to Paladin, as you like to say.
The power of Paladin indeed. No, I do prefer going for the butter sword. Or calling it going for the butter sword. But I can't say I'm not a sucker for alliteration. And it appears Rambler, now with the hookshot, is likely going over to Hookshot Cave and then subsequently going over to get the silver arrows just to complete the, well, the I need to make sure to kill all these bosses quick power pack.
And also the added benefit of seeing what what we need for Turtle Rock to open up here.
An interesting strat by Rambler to go and use hookshot speed to clear out those pegs quickly. Oh, Turtle Rock does require Bombos, which means he is going to open it now, go back to it most likely later after picking up silver arrows. Or, perhaps, they may be going in there now because silver arrows will not be required for Trinex.
Well, you
And
also
then
are
pick
missing
them up
that
on the way
fire rod
through.
there.
Oh, you're right. We are lacking both fire rod and ice. I am ahead of myself yet again.
The only reason I know about that is because this very morning I made that same exact play.
Oh, I made the opposite play. I once went into Turtle Rock, not realizing that I went in there instinctively despite it being a pendant dungeon. Oh yeah, mistakes were made. Anyhow,
Looks like we're into the hookshot cave now.
Hookshot cave indeed. Fire rod,
There it
speak
is,
of the devil.
fire rod.
And
You gotta imagine that NYRambler is gonna go up to that floating island.
it also means Rambler, after going to the floating island, can indeed also take care of Skull Woods and Ice Palace. Technically, Ice Palace was already on the logic, however, as we now see, he has an option of both, which is always a fantastic thing to have.
Meanwhile, S4 Sinhe's making very quick work of Swamp Palace, making the way to the boss's chamber for some cotton candy.
Cotton candy is indeed fantastic. Now with the silver arrows in tow, we see Swagduck being utilized to head right on over to what appears to be the house. And apparently using that area to warp down to get into Swamp Palace. Technically making a slight advantage in... No, I take that back. No advantage in crystals indeed. Sinhe is going to have the advantage in crystal count. However, it does mean right on his tail will be Rambler. Once again,
S4 Sinhe is making some quick work of Argus, and that using that hook shot to kind of get into the orbit there was key.
Absolutely. However, with both Tempered and Butter Sword, there is no differentiation in how many spin attacks you need to make before you can actually go and kill Argus. It is still both 2 in each time. As well as the puffs themselves only take 1 swipe of either sword. And now, we're going to see what's in the Mirror Cave, and it is a bottle with a B in it. Praise be to B-Torb.
Some more B strats on the way. Oh, we're releasing the bees.
Oh, double B strats! Double B strats in the cave without any enemies, one of them being a golden bee. As we can see, that is the hype cave to be at. I'm sorry, that one even hurt me.
Make sure to tip your waiters, try the fish, and also try the steak.
And also, make sure you not only follow Randomizer Mania 1, 2, 3, and 4, or technically it's Randomizer Mania 2, 3, and 4, also Speed Gaming and Speed Gaming 2, and I think Speed Gaming 3 and 4 at this point, but also make sure to follow your racers because they have been busting their butts to make sure to give you one heck of an absolutely fantastic time while you're watching this. And let's face it, as any of us that are experienced with this know, Randomizer can go from a relatively free seed to an ungodly troll seed at any moment if you're not careful. So seeing this and making sure that they are being as entertaining as possible, make sure to show them a little bit of love, give them a follow on Twitch. And if you like commentary, neither of us would have any qualms with you possibly going and checking out our channels as well. But also, make sure you give a shout out to both Clifford TBRD by giving them a follow, and our tracker, Flaffykins, for throwing down as well.
It is so wonderful to see so many people come together and put together. It's a really complex system of racing. This is my first tournament, and this has just been an absolute delight. Everyone has been so helpful.
Oh, absolutely. This whole community has been quite the charm, and I am very happy to have found this community and just jumped in and no more than, I started lurking 2 months ago. Meanwhile, Purple Chest and Senior Frog had been found. However, as we saw, there's nothing really of that dramatic importance coming from Senior Frog. The breadsmith.
We're bringing the lunchbox home. Let's see if there's something of value inside the lunchbox. Let's see if the lunch left behind was something that could be helpful for NYRambler. While S4 Sinhe is making some work here in finding the Titansmiths. Very lucky for him or her.
Absolutely. Those gloves are going to be very fantastic to acquire. And now that they also have the big key, they too can find out the disappointment of getting a big key to open up a big chest for a small key. However, this also means without the capability of, say, going into Dark World Eastern Side Death Mountain, until now, they have to double dip back into Skull Woods to make sure that they don't, say, have to wonder where the heck the fire rod is, because as we know, Hookshot Cave is indeed, well, where the fire rod is. It's where all of the hottest mixtapes have been acquired.
And, making a double dip into Skullwoods is not that painful as it is a segmented dungeon.
Oh, absolutely not. Since that if you had Fire Rod and you were in Go mode, you could literally bypass a majority of this dungeon. It is actually one of the easier dungeons to clear. Here we have Sinhe attempting the bomb skip, or the bomb jump rather, and not only getting it, but getting the disappointing single key. Fortunately, as we can also tell, this is still, despite the difference in how everyone is diverging, it is still anybody's race.
And NYRambler just took a look at the tablet there, also exploding a vulture, and Anger and PETA supporters everywhere.
Rip. So much for that sponsorship.
Hopefully that Sriracha one comes through.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Alright, looks like Rambler might be making his way into Swamp Palace as Sinhe is working through Skull Woods, at least a partial clear.
Right you are, and as we can see, not only from the trackers, but the experience on Sinhe's side, the only thing you're really going to be getting of any importance is indeed going to be, well, at most, maybe some bomb upgrades, the crystal. However, I will actually mention, come to think of it, with the Fire Rod, Rambler could pretty much take care of Skull Woods, which would be easy mode. And on top of that, they still had the flute, so they would be able to go from here, go back into the light world, flute over, then take care of that. However, maybe it is the choice in where they are going and where they will end up that is causing them to choose where they're going here, or why they're going here.
And of course, the Ice Rod's still hanging out somewhere in this overworld, well hidden, as Eswart Sinhe is speeding through, looks like going up to the cemetery to take care of some of the items there.
A good call, especially since both runners now not only have the boots, but the golden glove to be able to enter King's Tomb. This could be a very, very interesting diversion that could lead to yet another plot twist ahead of us. And it is just the red mail, while convenient, still not necessarily required. But it does make the Ganon fight and all the other enemies a lot easier.
You wonder at this point if Sinhe's going to take care of the rest of that, the graveyard going into King's Tomb next, it looks like.
Indeed, and that is going to be a valuable play, even if for the intel alone, because sometimes in the randomizer, as we know, intel is sometimes more important than the item drops themselves. Ooh, missing the opportunity to go through on the quick dash. However, it's still of no major issues for the simple fact that it was only 20 rupees anyhow. Once again, in the end, it didn't even matter.
Good song reference, I like that.
Thank you.
Looks like that king was not rich at all, but as for Sinhe not letting that stop them, they are going up to Death Mountain and going from there.
Well, you never know. Maybe rupees have one heck of a depreciation value nowadays. Either way, facetiousness aside, we're now going to see Sinhe go over towards the dark side of Death Mountain, or Dark World of Eastern Death Mountain, to go up to Hookshot Cave, to also get the Fire Rod and see where it plays out from there. Considering that they have two options at this point, either Skull Woods or Ice Palace. Chances are they're probably going directly into Skull Woods, taking care of Mothula just to get it out of the way, then going into why am I saying all these other palaces? Ice Palace, to go take care of Cold Stare. As we see,
that's where Sinhe was is pushing those blocks without the mirror, and it looks like we got some. What did we get?
We had an Aether Medallion show up, which is not too bad. However, we also know that only Bombos has been required. Skipping over Hookshot Cave is a very interesting... Oh, nope, they were just going for an intel check. My mistake. Got a little too ahead of myself, and here we go into Hookshot Cave.
And Rambler's taking care of Argus, and Jason and the Argonauts over there in Swamp Palace.
We once again have the Red Rang. We're now seeing Argus getting quickly demolished. The mixtape rod has been found. The bomb upgrade is here. And, of course, with a little bit of help from the hookshot, we have 20 more rupees and a dead blue jellyfish. Now, Sinhe making sure not to forget that silver arrows were on top of the floating island. We're going to see that end up being completed, and we will now have the absolutely... Well, I guess you can't say it's absolutely broken tier because it's still pretty strong, but not necessarily broken. Situation of having the butter sword and silver arrows, making sure there is no real major differentiation in competition when it comes to fighting, except for the fact that Blue Mail is still on top of NYRambler.
Blue Mail is so last season. I hope that NYRambler knows you're not supposed to wear blue after Labor Day.
Ooh, not good. Also, interesting to note, Sinhe decided to forego the idea of getting the butter sword, perhaps finding it maybe extraneous or in the way? As we know, with NYRambler grabbing the butter sword, this may prove to not necessarily be the wisest of decisions. However, we will find out, because you never know if the time difference could make it so, say, the 6 extra slashes per the 2 phases are going to be all that matters, or maybe one of them is going to accidentally miss the torch glitch and that's going to cause an extra couple of rounds. It's still entirely up in the air.
Well, Sinhe looks like she is clearing that Skullwoods dungeon pretty handily to add another crystal to the notch, to the count there.
Oh no! Did I just see NYRambler flood the key?
Oh, I missed that. I hope that he didn't just lock
I see
himself
0
out.
keys. I hope that is not the actual case. Nope. Okay, disregard. I totally missed that they opened up the other door. Oh, wow, that was... Oof. You look over from one side of the screen to the other, you miss an important detail, and suddenly you put yourself into a panic. Sorry to throw you off onto a different direction like that, chat. And viewers on YouTube, of course. However, fortunately, that was not the case, and we are seeing Rambler continue on with the chest. Whew.
That was quite a scary moment, and I think S4 Sinhe's in for a scary moment. If you don't like bugs, you're not going to love Mothula.
Mothula is one of those bosses that, if you have them not near the spikes, you have no problem. However, because of the way that the spikes in this room were coded, if they knock into the spikes immediately after being struck, not with any distance in between them, but if they are pinned, say, against the spikes on their sprite, they do not take any damage. It is very frustrating, however, when you're able to pull off a boss like that, as you can see with Sinhe just demolishing Mothula, it becomes a very, very easy and effortless battle.
It was a well-played Mothula battle as Mothula flew a little too close to the light source and got zapped.
Ooh, nice. I like that one. And we are seeing a mirror? Oh, wait, no, of course, Argus was already cleared. Going to check that one chest after checking out left side. And here we see possibly a play on Skullwoods.
And we have the chat saying that Sinhe might be making a play for double-chested fairy.
That would be a valid strategy. Ah, I see. They're going to refill on their potions. Not a bad strategy either, because as we know, safety strats are indeed very valuable. Oh, we got an angry B-Torp.
Sure, incoming is Ice Palace quite soon, as I believe we have everything we need to complete it.
Indeed we do. The only thing we're missing at this point to go into go mode would be the Ice Rod, and then, also, as we know for Sinhe, the Cane of Samaria.
We see Sinhe making her way up to the double-chested fairy to hopefully get some riches there, perhaps an ice rod, or just perhaps some money.
Making their way indeed downtown, walking fast, faces pass as they're homebound. However, instead of homebound, they're actually going to the home of the double-chested fairy. Meanwhile, Rambler now taking the time to see what the hobo has under the bridge. Are we going to collect the troll toll today? And of course, we already know that they're collecting the troll toll, but I just like saying troll toll.
And Sinhe only getting a little bit of a heart upgrade there and some bombs from the double-chested fairy.
Ooh. Sometimes the gamble just doesn't pay off.
Gotta know when to hold them and know when to fold them.
Ooh. Oh, okay. Well played, well played. Didn't see that reference coming from a mile away.
You know, when you talk about gambling, you gotta talk about the gambler, as NYRambler is making his way to Ice Palace. I couldn't rhyme anymore after Gambler and Rambler.
No, that was still solid. Meanwhile, with Ice Palace underway, this means that we are one dungeon away after Ice Palace to full completion. It is entirely possible that Ice Palace is either here in, or the Ice Rod is in Ice Palace, or the Ice Rod is hiding in Turtle Rock. Both are possibilities that have been seen before, not only in this tournament, but also casual races. And here we have Checkerboard Cane being caught wide open, and once again, that's gotta be Cane. By God, that's gotta be Cane.
Well played, well played. Can we respawn the Cane just to hear it again?
Nah, we'll wait until I'm properly caffeinated, doing better at not mixing up my terms and locations, and have a little bit of a better voice. I think I'm gonna have some tea after this to make sure.
Rambler's getting the big key there in Ice Palace and making his way to the Penguin Sanctuary, also known as the Switch Room.
Yes. This does have a lot of problems with it because you can cause not only a lot of lag, but because the animations themselves take up a lot of power in the SNES, you could be stuck there possibly waiting for inputs or missing inputs depending on the situation. Both of those very frustrating to have occur, but still nonetheless possible.
And Sinhe also making a play for Ice Palace as Rambler falls through the newly decorated skylight.
Indeed, however, the one thing that they did miss, going for a separate double bomb strat for the Stelphos. Not necessarily going with the one bomb quick kill, however, I do at least understand and respect that possibility. We also noticed that they did not switch the switch. Oh, nope, but they are going for the bomb jump. As always, it's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it plays out. And an interesting attempt to go with that way instead of using the sword. But as we know, with that shield, you can't very
that
close.
Was heartbreaking.
With the shield in there, that is a lot more difficult to tackle. So I have to give it to Rambler. That is a very solid strategy to line up the hat regardless. However, it is still not paying off, because they just had to use one of their safeties, which they probably did account for, so kudos to them.
You wonder, as a player and as someone who's watching these streams, how many times do you attempt that bomb jump before saying, forget about it? And it looks like NYRambler has just said, forget about it.
One of the things that's a lot more difficult when you're using a normal sprite with a shield is to line it up by facing forward. It's something that's done a lot more easily and effectively when you have no shield. However, you could also hold out your sword and go from the side, as many people, including myself, have done. Now, what's going to be interesting is Sinhe is also lined up directly. We're going to see, with this sprite, how well they pull off the bomb jump. Is it as aligned as the vanilla Link sprite? Oh, it doesn't look like lining up with the head is working out too well.
Got the bomb jump going over on the right here, and NYRambler showing us that ice physics and ice physics can be quite torturous in the Ice Palace.
Oh, absolutely. Ice physics are some of the most frustrating in the Ice Palace. That and the Trinex fight. Proving once again that there was not too much in there, but still looking for the item with the big key. Rambler finds a small key. Why does that seem to be an ongoing trend in this seed?
And Sinhe, meanwhile, mastering that bomb jump across and moving forward.
Indeed. With the master key in tow, it'll be a lot easier to be able to take care of not only the big chest, but also any surrounding chests. Oh wait, no, they have to go down from that floor anyway, so without another key, they're going to have to either skip the rest of the chest, take the gamble, and go into Cold Stare, or they're going to go and still try to attempt to full clear it regardless by going the opposite way out of the doors.
It's interesting to see the two different approaches here with one of the players mastering that bomb jump over and one not. So we'll see how that really affects their game here in Ice Palace.
Indeed. Here we have Sinhe going for the hookshot strat, going through the blocks into another hookable area to be able to bypass using a bomb up top. And once again, we have them going right into Cold Stare. As we're seeing on Rambler's side, there has not been a whole lot of difference. Oh, what a plot twist. Sinhe refusing to not full clear the area just in case, and going through the reverse door method, as I previously mentioned.
Not a bad play for Sinhe, especially if wanting to full clear this dungeon.
Absolutely not. We're about to find out from Rambler within the next two chests if that strategy does indeed pay off.
It looks like Sinhe's hunting for some hearts here, getting a little bit low on life.
A little bit, but if I recall correctly, they still have at least one bottle of safety blue juice, and it's just another key.
And a pack of bombs for Sinhe, so it looks like coming up empty on a lot of things here, but at least clearing the dungeon to a point.
Absolutely. Once again, Ice Rod to be found in Turtle Rock, despite... Oh, wait a minute. Only one key left. That's going to leave Sinhe in a slightly sticky situation, considering they need... Oh, wait, nope. I take that back. You only need the big key and one small key to get to Cold Stare. So that should be okay at this point. However, since I have been mistaking my numbers at this point, it also could be entirely wrong, but I certainly hope it's just one big key and one small key.
Don't worry, my math is pretty shoddy to begin with, so I'm relying on your counting.
And there we have one key after using the big key, and when they go downstairs, yes, it is still just the one key required, the other key being for the safety closet, as I like to call it, where you have one or two pieces of heart, a couple of bottles of magic, and a bunny beam.
Looks like Rambler's going into Cold Stare. Pretty low on life, but if you are correct, we got some blue goo in the reserve there.
I certainly believe I saw Rambler pick up 3 bottles, and I've only seen one being used since picking up the remaining bottle. So we're going to find out if this pays off.
We got half magic, which is very helpful, and Rambler going for the fire rod instead of bombos.
Absolutely, it does technically save you time. Ah, yes, the second bottle of blue juice has been utilized. And here we have the Butter Sword attempting a quick clear, however barely missing and getting hit by Cold Stare instead. But as we see with the Butter Sword, that is indeed not a problem, because even though it was not instant, it still was very quick. Cold Stare, again, another boss holding on to the burrito, Link disturbing everyone's lunchtime.
And we seeing that eyes are certainly now wide shut for Cold Stare.
Oh, that almost hurts, but I like it.
Not far behind, Sinhe making her play for a Cold Stare.
Here we go, Swag Duck proving its worth in gold. And at this point, we have Rambler taking care of Skull Woods. Because remember, Sinhe was the one that took care of Skull Woods and not Rambler just yet. However, since effectively they already have cleared the majority of Skull Woods, we can now confirm that they are going to likely just run into Mothula, double check that one chest, mirror out, run back into Mothula, kill Mothula, come up with the crystal, head into Turtle Rock, and then find the ice rod somewhere. If you're in chat, in our Twitch channels, which you should definitely be following if you're watching this on YouTube, at, say, Randomizer Mania 2, or any of the Randomizer Mania channels, as well as any of the speed gaming channels, why don't you take a guess as to where the ice rod in Turtle Rock is going to be, or, plot twist, what if Mothula actually has it? Oh, I just saw a reset over on Sinhe's side. That is very interesting.
Seemed to be a little bit of hesitation on that restart. I wonder if that was an accidental jitter move.
Most likely.
Chad also saying Ice Rod could be hiding in Misery Mire, which, as everyone may know, is one of my favorite dungeons, he says facetiously.
That is indeed absolutely possible, especially since we have seen Quake. And Quake, Ether. We have seen Ether. It could be hiding not only in there, but need Ether to be opened.
Well, it looks like Sinhe's making the run for Turtle Rock as NYRambler is finishing up by making sure you zap out that Mothula.
At this point, this could be the right move or it could be the wrong move. We do not have any confirmation on that yet. However, if I'm correct, Sinhe did open up Turtle Rock previously?
One of the two runners definitely opened it up. I thought it might have been Rambler, but I think you might be right, and it was Sinhe.
I thought it was Rambler myself. Oh, I see what they're doing. They had not checked these two chests yet. Oh, almost getting the second hookshot block skip. Mothula, again, work taken care of very quickly, thanks to half magic and a tempered sword.
In fact, I believe it was...
Butter Sword. Temper Sword is over with Sinhe.
You wonder if Sinhe's going to eventually pick up that Butter Sword, maybe perhaps on the way to Ganon's Tower.
Ooh, or perhaps Turtle Rock, because that would just mean it takes, say, 1 Fire Rod or Ice Rod shot and 3 swipes, instead of, say, 5.
Sinhe skipping those 2 chests, perhaps just doing a cost-benefit analysis, saying that I'm going right for, going again into Hookshot Cave. I guess might have forgotten that we full cleared Hookshot.
Yeah. No, they haven't, which is extra weird because they have the Fire Rod, which was in that chest. Oh, of course they restarted, so they're making up for lost time. They didn't save with the Fire Rod. Wait, was that Ice Rod I just saw? No. That had to be Fire Rod.
The chat is saying we got an accidental restart, which means what progress have we lost other than the item progress here?
Oh, that's a good question, because they've had Fire Rod for a while, and if I'm correct, they did use that for... Oh, they are missing 3 crystals. Oh, that is a massive, massive loss of time.
So that pause was not just out of consternation. That pause was out of absolute frustration on behalf of Sinhe.
Oh, that is so unfortunate. They still have to go here. They have to pick up the can of Samaria.
Oh, that feeling when.
In this case, Flaffy asking about the tractor, I probably would, just in case. Mainly to just make sure that we now know that it is not inaccurate when we go to count again. However, I am feeling nothing but empathy for that restart.
Oh, and you know, S4 Sinhe was doing incredibly well. Hopefully able to make up a little bit of time here, but it certainly puts them at a big disadvantage as they're tugging very, very frustratedly at that wall.
Absolutely, and roughly, how many minutes would that have been lost? A couple of dungeons, several items? That has to be, what, 15 at least?
Yeah, I would say 15 minutes lost to that, and certainly that's a huge blow to morale as you're racing through.
Absolutely. That is very rough to deal with.
Chat saying at least that Sinhe can go mode Ice Palace, and I believe with the Fire Rod and knowing what is in those chests, yes, Sinhe could probably go mode a couple of keys.
Rambler going over to Quake, or in this case, the Catfish, and getting the Mirror Shield. Trying to do something regarding swimming and the stairs, and I'm not exactly sure what, but now deciding to save and quit instead.
And Sinhe racing through Skullwoods to recoup some lost progress here.
Fortunately, with their current setup, it is still not too hard to catch up from everything. Although, admittedly, it is still unfortunate, and once again, bypassing the Butter Sword.
Interesting choice, but maybe just wanting to make up all of the lost time now that they have to make up, that they thought, I'll go back for Butter Sword a bit later.
That is very true. That is still indeed possible.
Rambler swag ducking away from King's Tomb there over to Kakariko Village for what is not quite sure what the next play is, going into the Lost Woods.
And we're seeing the RNG pattern for Mothula being a little less forgiving this time around, hiding into the corners. However, still at least popping out into the middle for a quick enough breath of fresh air for the kill to go out. And once again, Sinhe has taken care of Mothula. Rambler taking the gamble by going into Thieves Town. This could be interesting, because with all things considered, this could give at least a couple more minutes of time to Sinhe, depending on how far Rambler decides to go. I also will mention, this is a pendant dungeon. We did not see the full area. Ice Rod may actually be in the big chest. Or, plot twist, it could also be with blind, which means you would have to clear the dungeon regardless, and you wouldn't know any better until you full cleared it.
It'll be interesting to see if this gamble on blind pays off for NYRambler, as it looks like S4 Sinhe doing something pretty similar by going back into the Dark World, re the route near Kakariko, so you wonder if perhaps Sinhe's going to go into Thieves Town as well.
According to someone checking the VOD, it appears that Sinhe's game ended up locking up when grabbing the crystal from Cold Stare. That is... I wonder what would cause that, because not only is that very unfortunate, but nonetheless that is frustrating beyond belief.
Well, the nerves are high enough on these types of scenarios to begin with, and when you bring in technology faults, it just really makes an unnerving environment for our runners.
Absolutely. Sinhe double-checking Hammerpeg Cave, finding only 3 bombs, and now Senior Frog is going to be transformed back into the Breadsmith, and they're going to make sure to be returned and live happily ever after. Ooh, Rambler going off for the switch tag above? I've never seen that tactic done directly like that before, but I don't see why it wouldn't be plausible.
No, certainly not implausible, but yes, I haven't seen that one either. But in any case, Rambler is making his way to the long hallway to the to redesign some skylights for blinds. As Sinhe's taking home the lunchbox here. And Rambler making some pretty quick work of Thieves Town, going down the stairs as Sinhe is making their way to the South Grove cave here with the lunchbox.
Barely making it onto the ledge. Ignoring the beach orb in the bottle, this may come to bite them later.
Or sting them.
That is entirely possible. We're about to find out if Thieves Town indeed has the ice rod. We have we have one key left to open up that door, and then we have the hammer, which is being selected, to go and find out what's in here. Because if I'm correct, we still have one item left instead of two. And it's the map.
Just a burrito.
Item left. It means Blind, unless I'm horribly mistaken, has the last item. If Blind has the last item, we are seeing a very unfortunate plot twist.
And that's where Sinhe is going back into Ice Palace to hopefully quick clear that dungeon, knowing now what they didn't know then, hopefully be able to make that a bit of a quicker clear.
Indeed. However, if Blind doesn't have the ice rod, this does mean we have a possibility of it still being either in Turtle Rock or in Misery Mire. Also, apparently a baker's job is a piece of cake, according to Blind.
Whoever programmed in those buttons should be given a round of applause.
I believe that was cross-product.
I especially like the Ganon Spaceballs quote. That is probably one of my favorites. Or the Sting song.
That was fantastic. Blind getting killed very quickly. And it's a piece of art. We still have no true confirmation as to whether or not Ice Rod is in Turtle Rock.
So you wonder what goes next for Rambler. Does he go into Mire? Does he go into T-Rock hoping that that rod is there? I guess we're about to see.
It would seem from a speedrunning standpoint that it would be wiser to take the gamble into the rest of Turtle Rock, considering it has more than 2 items available, than worrying about Misery Mire. Especially,
it looks like he is indeed going into T-Rock.
It would especially be true if one of those items happened to be with Vitreous. That would be such a time sink that it would actually, well, realistically, probably would have given Sinhe a good chance of catching up very quickly instead of just relatively quickly.
So Sinhe's not doing poorly here in the catch-up game.
Oh, absolutely. They've been doing pretty solid. Unfortunately, now knowing that they don't have to worry about the Ice Palace having items, they can just go mode into Cold Stare, and hopefully this time they won't have the same issue. My only question is, did they save and quit since the last time they caught up all of their items and crystals?
Might be a good move for S4 Sinhe to just save and quit, perhaps after clearing Cold Stare here.
If Cold Stare doesn't lock up again, because remember, it locked up on Cold Stare.
I was about to make a freeze joke, but not appropriate. If I were S4 Sinhe, I would not want to hear it.
Ooh, I gotta say, that joke would have been a bit cold. I'll take that appropriate amount of silence as I can't believe you just did that.
Oh no, it was a laugh. I didn't want to. It was a laugh. Don't worry, you got the laugh from me.
Holding it back because you didn't want to make them feel bad, but you appreciated the joke nonetheless. I understand.
Look, I didn't mean to give you the cold shoulder on that joke.
Oh, well played. Oh, missing the fire rod shots. However, fortunately with the tempered sword still making quick work of Cold Stare. And here we have the burrito once again. And cross your fingers, everyone. Let's hope that we get no freezing happen on the crystal animation.
The entire community at this point, every viewer is just holding their breath. And the complimentary dad joke from the chat.
Something about the Cold Stare.
All right, we did a save and quit for S4 Sinhe. Very, very smart move. I missed what was in that first chest in T-Rock there.
And that first chest, I do believe I saw the Master Key, which is fantastic to see. However, at this point, we have to wonder, another save and quit, accidentally making its way onto the wrong side and deciding just to go to Mountain Cave instead of using the flute.
This is a good move for S4 Sinhe. It looks like they're making a run for T-Rock, which puts them a little bit neck and neck now with Rambler.
It does make it a lot closer, and fortunately that time in Thieves Town did end up diminishing Rambler's accidental lead. At this point, it's going to come down to execution and luck. Luck being, of course, finding Ice Rod before the inevitable having to dive into another pendant dungeon. Since this is version 26, you can't not account for such things, because let's face it, it is very unfortunate to have to deal with them, but it is occasionally something that has been happening. Meanwhile,
I gotta tell you,
oh, go ahead, sorry.
I have a very miserable pit in my stomach that Myers got to have that ice rod, and I don't know why, but I just.
Ooh, that was. Ooh, that was a good pun. That was a good pun. That hurt.
Didn't mean to drag you into the mire of my dad jokes on that one.
Oh, getting another one. We're seeing another key pickup. We're going to see what I like to call the I die every time I try to get into this stupid room with the room.
Those chain chomps can be pretty punishing, especially with blue mail, red mail, and green mail.
Oh yeah, no matter the mail, they take out a significant amount of health, and I have to admit, they are hands down the ugliest cameo and the ugliest cameo in appearance that I have witnessed. Oh no, with half a heart, half a heart left is a bit scary.
Wow, that
was super close.
I think my heart stopped right there.
I am genuinely surprised that they didn't get that one tick of damage that they would have required or acquired. Oh no!
Oh no, rip.
Oh, press F to pay respects. The one time I expect them to get taken down, they don't get taken down. And as I'm talking about how I'm surprised they weren't hit, they get hit by the pokey.
I was about to make a hokey pokey joke, but I will save you from the hokey pokey joke.
Oh god, hokey pokey joke. Ooh, that would have hurt. That would have hurt and then some. A nice hookshot strat from Sinhe.
It was catching up quite nicely.
Absolutely, especially after that fall from Rambler. I will say the one advantage that Sinhe has going into this dungeon that Rambler doesn't is Sinhe found the red mail, diminishing a majority of the damage found in Turtle Rock.
Now here's the question. I don't think either of the runners have anything to help them out on Laser Bridge.
No, they both have Mirror Shield.
Oh, you are correct. Thank you for pointing that out.
No problem. It's one of the things that I do hope to find on my way into Turtle Rock, because let's face it, no one likes having to throw down a crap ton of potions and all of their magic or all of their health.
Got Sinhe in the chain chomp from now, throwing some blocks down, getting some things done.
Just a little off-timed, left it so it was almost an instantaneous block change, not leaving enough time in to be able to, say, get the invincibility from the tiles popping up.
Two of them doing an almost high five, a close high five.
Yeah, they are incredibly close at this point.
You wonder if Ice Rod might be in Mimic Cave.
You know, it wouldn't be surprising to find an item in Mimic Cave, because that just literally ends up being the one place no one wants to find the item that they're looking for. Rambler taking a gamble itself, once again going and trying to bomb through here with only 3.5 hearts against Laser Eyes, fortunately managing to not activate the middle eye, heading over and making sure to double check Mimic Cave, a very smart decision as we've known.
It's a good choice to make, especially when you're on the way there anyway. It only probably adds another 30 seconds to a minute.
Absolutely, and sometimes it's just worth the risk, because you never want to ignore it and then have to dive all the way back into Turtle Rock just to find out later, oops, I forgot an important item all the way in here. Unfortunately, it is just an arrow upgrade. If Sinhe manages to decide to skip or forget about Mimic Cave, this might save a ton of time.
We're going to see in a minute if Sinhe does in fact skip that Mimic Cave.
They have the hookshot. It may be that they're... Oh, nope, they went to the mirror. They are definitely checking it. Once again confirming that the lead is barely over a minute at this point.
It's going to be a very exciting moment if they find Ice Rod in this dungeon. If not, it's going to certainly elongate this race by quite some time. All right, Rambler heading downstairs for the conveyor belt here to open the door, hopefully grabbing that hook shot, and yes, grabbing the hook shot so as to protect the 2.5 hearts he has left. And Rambler making quick work here on the conveyor belt, not losing any hearts to any of those spinning wheels of fire death.
As we're seeing very good usage of the hookshot to be able to avoid getting hit, indeed. And
Time for some
Sinhe
laser
once
bridge
again.
heights.
Oh, and here we go. How many chests is it going to take to not only find the fire rod, but also find a key? Rambler going for the safety strat, indeed, a very wise decision, especially since sometimes you can have just the worst of luck going through these areas.
Chat's pontificating over what items might be very unhappy to be found, such as
First
Quake.
one already the key. The burrito. Oh, taking a hit. We have the wavy coin. We have Quake found, finally.
Ooh, Chat was right in that
They
end
ended
of
up getting hit one more time.
Luckily, he took that safety strat, so he just dived right back into the laser bridge for that last item,
Indeed.
hoping that it is the ice rod, and it is not.
Where the heck is the ice rod?
Misery Meyer, here it comes.
Oh, no.
This is really unfortunate for both runners. Although Sinhe and Rambler are now neck and neck. The save and quit by Sinhe, not a bad move, especially given the technical errors from before.
Absolutely.
And Rambler picking up some blue goo, and Sinhe picking up a nice little peck on the cheek from Zelda.
This is where we're going to find out for Rambler whether or not Misery Meyer is going to require Ether, because if Ether is required, we all now know that that is going to be a very unfortunate turn of events for the one person that didn't pick up all 3 pendants, or medallions.
It looks like we do have all 3 pendants there.
Quake is confirmed required, and it was needed inside of Turtle Rock. Double dipping into Turtle Rock was a part of the meta. And I have a cat getting sick on some electronics. I will be back in a moment.
All right, I'll be holding down the fort while you're gone, as we have Rambler and Sinhe walking both into Misery Meyer, hoping that they find that ice rod early so they can peace out and run back to Turtle Rock. We got Rambler making some quick work at that first room with the laser eye, and again, I'm sure hoping that that ice rod turns up pretty quickly. Both runners very, very close together. This has been a very exciting race, and it could, again, change direction at any given time. We have our first chest here, and it is a little bit of love for NYRambler, moving his way through Meyer, checking again for that ice rod that must absolutely be here somewhere. However, chat also saying that they're not quite sure if Spike Cave has been checked. Literally, these runners neck and neck, giving each other high fives as they speed through the bridges of Misery Meyer. Rambler just a hair in front of Sinhe, as Sinhe picks up the chest that Rambler has already gotten, getting a little bit of love. almost running out of magic, but just making it and hoping this chest has the magic item. And it does. The ice rod, the ice rod, the ice rod. And bombing that chest and moving right along for Rambler, which puts Rambler just a hair in front of Sinhe. Hopefully Sinhe finds that ice rod quite quickly, although it looks like they are going north. The adrenaline is understandably high for Rambler as the ice rod gets a little bit of a hug from Grandpa and moves his way back to Turtle Rock. Sinhe not too far behind, going for that chest, going to be excited to see the ice rod, and out we go. Sinhe making their way back into the light world, fluting for some swag duck assistance over to Death Mountain. Stocking up on potions, not a bad idea from Sinhe at this point, as Rambler makes his way to the top of the mountain. Looks like we had a save and quit from Sinhe, getting a hug from Grandpa, moving their way along to Eastside Death Mountain, and on their way up they go. Rambler making his way into Turtle Rock. At this point, it'll be a pretty quick clear for both runners as they've pretty much hit everything in the dungeon. So a double dip is certainly something no one desires for Turtle Rock. It is a nicer situation when you've pretty much full cleared that dungeon. Looks like Sinhe may have taken a bit of potion prematurely, looks like from the chat, perhaps forgetting the fact that there is a magic refill at the start of Turtle Rock. Rambler making some quick work of Turtle Rock as he fires away some enemies and is moving on. Still anybody's race, especially when we get to Trinex. And remembering, Rambler does have the blue mail as Sinhe has the red mail, so it could come down to some skill and some luck on Trinex as they make their way through Turtle Rock. Rambler taking a scenic tour of the lower levels of Turtle Rock as Sinhe makes their way past the chain chomps. Yes, our tracker making a very good observation that though Sinhe has red mail, Rambler does have the butter sword, so it is a bit of advantage on that part. Rambler inching closer and closer to Trinex, and Sinhe continuing to make their way through the dungeon. Rambler on the conveyor belt over to Trinex, and hopefully it will be a very quick fight for Rambler, leading over to Gannon's Tower, which is a nice situation to be in as they both are already on Death Mountain. So a quick trip over to Gannon's Tower is an advantage at this point. The chat wondering, will Sinhe grab the butter sword on their way over to Gannon's Tower? Only time will tell as NYRambler defeats Trinex with barely breaking a sweat. And we're on to Gannon's Tower. Once we approach Gannon's Tower, we'll play everyone's favorite game, which is Guess Where the Key Is. Again, folks, don't forget to follow all those involved in our speed running tournament. That is NYRambler, Sinhe, all the different speed gaming channels through Speed Gaming to Speed Gaming 234 and Randomizer Mania 234 and Randomizer Mania. And if you like what you're hearing here, then give us a follow as well, Prophet Gamer and Glenn Ty, as well as our tracker and everyone else involved. Thank you again as we make our way to Ganon's Tower for Rambler. Now from the chat, I need something very, very important from you. Which chest do you think that boss key is in? Go ahead and throw those numbers in the chest. We have Tower Room. We have Bob Chest, 7. I always go with lucky number 7 or 14 if we're going for multiples. Sinhe finishing up, almost just about finishing up. Trinex here as we go right side for Rambler, getting a little bit of love, and also getting a small key.
At least this time we know that it's going to require a Dark Magician strat, and it's not exactly necessarily a key that is going to be immediately found. Sorry for the delay.
Welcome back. We hope Kitty's okay.
The cat is fine. Tends to have a little habit of overeating and got into some things it shouldn't be eating. More importantly, the house isn't on fire, so everything's cool.
Too many burritos for that cat. Too many burritos.
You know, yeah, let's just go with that one. Either way, let's get back into it, shall we?
We shall, and we got some numbers in the chat there for our boss key guess game. So far, no luck for either.
I'm actually interested in seeing this right side gamble. Maybe Rambler, considering that it's having the bug net, we can finally defeat Aghanim.
And we get to pick. Oh, we got the key.
Everyone say hi to Brian, having a late appearance, but one nonetheless.
So far, right side not necessarily paying off for Rambler quite yet, but that could change.
Indeed. However, they did pick up the key for at least the capability of being able to take care of the actual key required once they find the big key. Oh, the map is on the bonk pedestal, my favorite area, however, not exactly the right item.
Someone left a burrito on the fire to cook for the evening's dinner.
A very good call.
So Sinhe also doing right side, which if they had done left side, they might have been a little bit closer, although it looks like going back upstairs to do left side. So this race, again, is anyone's game, and it could really come down to something as crucial as how the Ganon fight goes, as I've seen in several of these tournament matches.
And in the four chest Red Skelebro room, we found a couple of keys, which means we're not going to have any problems with finding keys. Rambler going for the safety strat instead of the bonk strat. Now we see the appropriate way to skip around that area, only to find 300 rupees. So far, not finding too much. It's entirely possible now we're going to be finding Armos to be guarding where the key is, unless it is like many other seeds I've seen in this race, where it is indeed in the rando room.
Or perhaps even we got the tower room as well. That could be an option.
I'd also like to comment, considering I just got back, as Sinhe was already on the way to Ganon's tower, Sinhe is making some really quick catch-up.
And there's that boss key from Rambler showing left side paying off, and Sinhe not too far behind.
Was I correct in seeing that was indeed in the rando room?
That, I believe it was. I was looking at Sinhe at the time, so maybe Chad can help us out on that one.
It wouldn't really be surprising considering it's usually in the rando room in 26 at this point, unless it's a super troll seed.
It was in the fire. It was in the fire room on the left hand past the gap. There we go. The fire snake room. Thank you for that vocabulary builder.
Oh, fire snake. I see.
Both racers incredibly close still as Sinhe starts the ascent up Ganon's tower.
Making quick work of the first two mimics. Getting hit by one of the Beamos. Oh, narrowly escaping the second shot.
So this all comes down to, as we see some hard swindle for Rambler, does he have some goo on the reserve?
Yup. This may come down to both execution and safety strats. As for Sinhe taking care of those two mimics, and now, as we're seeing, using a little bit of a combination between the slash and the strut strategy to take care of the other two, making that lead that Rambler has diminish even further.
As Rambler is starting the gauntlet rooms, and we'll see how quickly that he can clear those.
Indeed, after, if I'm correct, picking up something or perhaps using his potion to make sure that they were safe, this was definitely required to make sure that they weren't going to lose the lead that they indeed have. Because as we already see Rambler a little about half, nope, they are over halfway through the gauntlet.
And Sinhe hot on the heels, so certainly not counting them out yet.
BMOS and ice physics do not exactly mix, and Rambler is showing that exact reason why. However, in the second ice physics room, Rambler just takes care of both the Stelphos and the Dragon Head with ease. And now we're going to see a Silver Arrow strat on Lamolus. Oh, but getting hit by the exploding rock afterwards definitely did not help the zero cycle kill. However, with a 1 cycle kill, suddenly Lamolus, not a problem anymore.
And Sinhe not far behind. If they can pull off a 1 cycle kill on Lamolus, then the lead of Rambler is going to be cut. Oh, and the 1 cycle for Sinhe. Wow.
That is an excellent 1 cycle. And once again, that lead that was just even acquired. Oh, an interesting play here by Rambler, taking the extra time, even though it is only maybe a second, to go through with that, with Ether.
Not a bad idea, I suppose, if you aren't super comfortable with Kane strats.
Which, as we see, Sinhe definitely is. Switching over to the potion to make sure they have enough, perhaps diminishing the amount of catch-up work that they already had. Deciding to go...
feeling when you're in this room and you run out of magic, that is for sure.
Ooh, getting hit by the fire bar and having to reset the room definitely bring that lead that they were going to catch up on and just further expanding upon it. A very unfortunate occurrence, but nonetheless one that did indeed just happen. With the lantern and now the fire rod saving as much magic as they can so they don't have to worry about picking up the bottle, which will take an extra couple of seconds and some lag time.
And we got our Troll Dorm 2 fight. If he is particularly trolly, that might cut the lead for Rambler a little bit as well.
That's very true. Troll Dorm 2, Troll Harder, can... Oh, never mind. Troll Dorm 2 confirmed easier than Troll Dorm 1. And Validation Chest has been opened for the last 20 rupees of the game. Surprisingly, didn't pick up the magic refill. Oh, and getting hit by the Helmasaur on the way. Oh, there goes the bonks, and there goes more Helmasaurs and the spikes. It is... Oh, and then finally getting the clear shot through the middle. If Sinhe doesn't have as much of a problem with that room, we might see that lead once again getting diminished. And still, on top of that, we have the variable of the RNG of Aghanim 2.
This race is literally coming down to skill and luck at this point, and it's an exciting conclusion here.
Oh, unfortunately, Rambler missing that potential 3-shot.
I tell you, this is going to be critical for Rambler as he's missing some of those shots on Aghanim as Sinhe arrives at Aghanim's room.
And so far, we are seeing... Oh, very similar RNG. Oh, and Sinhe getting 2 shots off, effectively making it even for the amount of shots Aghanim has taken. Oh, nope, Rambler getting a couple more in, getting a better luck with their RNG. Another 2-shot in. who's going to make it over to Ganon first. At this point, it is still anybody's race. And then we have, a triple shot coming in and just smoothly making it so. Oh my god, Sinhe and Rambler are literally at most 1 second between each other. This not only just became anybody's race, this also became the closest race we have seen so far in this tournament. This is going to be insane, and as predicted earlier with the commentator's curse, this may now come down to a carrot versus butter sword disadvantage.
And sometimes we have our runners fall through, and that really could put a damper on that victory.
Absolutely. Considering how quickly you can actually take care of Ganon with either sword, this may not necessarily be as difficult as one would imagine. However, if they don't execute these strikes and have the good RNG for it, this still may come down to just being a little too late, unless Rambler, for one reason or another, manages to not pull off the fire glitch or falls.
Rambler's pulling off the Brian strats as he's being safe. I wonder, again, if Brian's got any safety items such as blue goo at his disposal.
And here we go, phase 3 already for Rambler. Sinhe still not that far behind. Not taking the risk of hitting them, or hitting Ganon with a couple of extra shots before the bats came out. One could even argue that you could easily get in about 8 hits on Ganon before the first fire bats even leave the circle.
And Ganon is not being kind to Sinhe rather, in trolling and warping.
Meanwhile, we now see... Oh! Rambler pulling off the fire rod strat.
Ooh, and the double.
Getting
this
a
looks like it
double
might be
hit
in the book for
after...
him.
And Ganon goes down.
GG for Rambler, and that was a close finish. Let me tell you, Sinhe is not far behind.
And we can confirm that Rambler has indeed finished in first place with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 11 minutes, and 28 seconds. Good game to both of our runners. My goodness, this was insanely quick. Meanwhile,
it literally came down to seconds.
With Sinhe right behind, we have an official SRL time for Sinhe of 2 hours, 11 minutes, and 46 seconds. Both of them having insanely quick Ganon clean fights. I think it's going to be time to get them both in
Absolutely.
for the interviews.
And what was impressive is, don't forget, Sinhe had to restart and redo a couple of dungeons, so that, my friends, is impressive.
Absolutely. And here we have Rambler already popping in. Good game, and congratulations, Rambler, for making sure to come through with a very clean sweep.
That was an insane Ganon quick kill. I've never killed him that fast. I think that was the reason why I won that game, I think.
That was a ridiculously clean Ganon fight, and that may have been why. The Butter Sword definitely does give quite an advantage.
Yeah, but still, the fact that I got the double, I don't get the double that often, so I was proud of getting that, and I was all right, good,
absolutely.
I got it.
The double was a fantastic play. And also we have Sinhe coming in. We'll be able to interview you both at the same time at this rate.
Oof.
No, you have no idea. You can see literally in the duns that you put in IRC, but the level of closeness that both of you had throughout the majority of this race, and the level of, despite diverging your routes, parallels between each other was insane.
All right. The only question I have for Sinhe right now is, did you do Thieves Town at all? Because I did it really late.
Sinhe actually is still working on getting their mic unmuted, probably because it was just a server mute / permission thing. If we can have someone that's in the Discord that has the capability to take care of Sinhe, that would be very awesome. Unless, oh, hello. I now have that.
Good evening, Aurel.
Sinhe, how are you feeling after that reset? How are you feeling?
Terrible, actually. I didn't expect it to crash at that point. I just finished Kelsia and immediately my USB controller driver crashed it.
Oh, wow.
I was literally screaming at my screen. Yeah, flat 10-minute time loss there, but whatever.
The moment we discovered what actually had happened, because someone, while we were watching the commentary, had checked your VOD to see what happened, to see that actually come through is very heartbreaking, but nonetheless also equally impressive that you were so close behind even then. Despite it being a loss, it was still a very, very clean loss.
You made up time very quickly.
Yeah, I thought I might have lost the race already when the crash happened, but...
No, it was actually...
Still glad I somewhat made it, and there isn't too much of a gap between us.
Yeah, no, when it comes to points over in challenge, you're going to have very few points, and that is something to be at least relieved of, if nothing else. Unfortunately, it was a stroke of bad luck, but nonetheless, I do believe Rambler had a question for you as well.
Yeah, did you ever do a Thieves Town at all?
Thieves Town, I only checked the first 4 chests and then I left it.
Oh, so I full cleared it before I went to Turtle Rock.
With Turtle Rock there was a clutch as well, having to go there twice, just because of Quake leading to Maya having Ice Rod.
Yeah. I figured that if I wasn't gonna find the Ice Rod in Turtle Rock, it was gonna be Quake. I had a feeling.
Yeah, well, it had to be at that point. I basically checked all the overworld, all the other dungeons down. So it had to be Quake or Ice Rod in T-Rock to progress the seed.
The only thing I didn't check was a Spike Cave, because it would have been a logic break, because I didn't have Cane of Burn or the cape at that point.
Never did that either. I wanted to go for the Golden Sword because it was on top of Spectacle Rock once I got the mirror, but
Well, I took my time to get out of my way. I grabbed it when it was tempered. It was golden when I grabbed it, but I grabbed it when I went to check what the medallion was on Turtle Rock and to do Hookshot Cave and grab the silvers.
That's bad. Well, I didn't grab it. Seemed unnecessary.
It's unfortunate because I believe the reason that it was so close was that you didn't grab it, because it might have been the other way around had you did. Because even though the time difference would have made up some of that from the Butter Sword itself, you might have still been able to slowly sneak your way around even after all the issues.
Yeah, true. But well, in the end, it would have meant I had to go down Death Mountain and go back up again, so there would have been more time.
You know what? That's true. There is a secondary time loss I didn't account for. That is a good point.
Yeah, I was able to route it as part of, like, I saw it, and I saw it before I got the mirror, and then when I saw where Moon Pearl was and grabbed the Master Sword out of Hera, I was like, alright, so I'll come back for that once I get the mirror, and I'll route to Hookshot Cave because I knew the silvers were up there, so I could get everything at once.
Yeah, true.
Absolutely.
Might have been the better play, but yeah, in the end, I didn't want to bother it. I mean, temper is, for most of the game, more than enough.
Oh, absolutely.
I agree too.
For the majority of the game, you don't have to worry about getting the gold sword unless it's literally on the way.
Yeah, exactly.
In general, both an excellent play by both of you guys during this entire seed, and it was incredibly heartening, I think, Sinhe, to see you come back from that technical glitch and make a race so exciting. The chat was going crazy. It was absolutely a pleasure to watch.
This might be the closest race in the secondary by a lot, I think, so far.
Actually, believe it or not,
I haven't watched all the others.
I think it's only been a majority. I think you beat it. There is a difference between you both of 28 seconds. I believe the second fastest was 35 to 40 seconds. So this might actually be the closest race of the secondary tournament so far.
28? Are you sure?
Yeah, 20. I thought it was like 15.
16
seconds.
16? I'm seeing 2:11, 28, 18. Okay, never mind. I apologize. I also didn't have that much coffee before starting this, so you're gonna look back at the VOD and go, what the hell is he talking about? And you're gonna realize, oh, right.
Yeah, sure,
so
we'll
I
definitely watch
apologize
the
if I
VOD.
ended up being a bit of a mumbly mess at the beginning.
What was... it was Go mode. It was funny, because when I grabbed the can of Mario, I was like, oh, sweet, I'm in Go mode. Then I was like, oh, wait, both rods.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Those
That
rods
always
have been
hurts.
proven to be very trolly during a lot of these runs during the tournament.
Yeah, I
It's
thought
only-
about going into Ice Palace when I grabbed Bombos for the Fire Rod in there, but Ice Palace didn't have anything either.
It's only fitting that out of all of the things, V26 had at least one last troll up its sleeve for you.
Well, of course.
I wouldn't mind anyway.
Oh, of course not. It's still a blast no matter what, and it's good to be kept on your toes.
That's why I went into Thieves Town at all, because, it's V26, it's got to have something, but it had absolutely nothing.
Unfortunately.
Yeah,
It had the Sanguine.
after seeing the first three items, I just decided to rage quit out of there. Not worth the trouble just going down all the way in Thieves Town for the probably one item that might be good.
And Rambler, you're absolutely right in that Thieves Town has shown more often than not to have not one, but sometimes two or even three items that are absolutely crucial to completing the run.
Yeah, I played V26 enough times to know where the key items are, which is why I made some of the rounding decisions that I did. That's why I went to Checkerboard Cave early. That's why I went to Pod early.
Yeah.
Definitely good calls.
Well, nonetheless, GG new.
GG, Sinhe.
Indeed,
Great game.
and what a great game it indeed was. make sure all of you, if you're not already doing that, follow both S4 Sinhe as well as NYRambler on Twitch. Make sure to hit them up on social media sometime if they so choose. Make sure to give your tracker a lot of credit. Flaffy coming in at the last second was absolutely fantastic. And, I mean, if you want to give a follow to both of the commentators, that's cool too, but not necessarily required. And also, of course, a massive shout out to our restreamer Clifford.
And really, everyone who's organized this tournament, it has been an absolute pleasure to commentate for the excellent runners today, and with you, Glenside, so thank you, as well as Flappy and Clifford.
Hey, by all means, thank you. And really, most credit goes not only to the organizers, but the runners themselves, because they were busting their butts to make sure you had one hell of an entertaining race, which they have not only succeeded, but made sure was absolutely in stellar condition.
You'd see now on the screens about why the difference in time was, because his in-game timer is like 15 minutes below mine.
Yup. Unfortunately.
It's still running.
No, that's your regular time. Your in-game timer shows a 152 for the in-game time. Mine was 209.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well, it was a good race nonetheless, so yes, that.
Absolutely. A fantastic race. Congrats to both of you, even though only one of you may have been victorious this time. All of that race still had very many points where it was definitely shown that there was a lot to show for accomplishments being made.
Yeah, GG to both you guys. It was one of the most impressive races I've seen since I've started in this community. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And also thank you for commentating, guys, and especially to Clifford running your restream.
Thank
You
you.
guys are amazing.
Thank you for running, because that was one heck of a match, and it was absolutely fun being able to commentate for it.
Always glad to hear that.
All right, now let me